glad you're here today. Before we get into today's video, I want to say something honest. A lot of you have told us in the comments that you feel like the world stopped caring about your health somewhere along the way, that doctors are rushed, that nutritional advice feels designed for younger people, that nobody sits down and explains what certain foods are actually doing to your body as it changes with age. That feeling is valid, and this video is a direct response to it. Because here is something most seniors are never told. The foods that were fine for your body at 40 can do something very different at 65. Your blood vessels have changed. Your kidneys filter differently. Your gut bacteria respond to food in new ways. And some of the most familiar, most comforting foods in your kitchen may be quietly working against your heart, your brain, your bones, and your independence. Today, we are counting down 7 foods that research suggests may be damaging the bodies of seniors over 60 in ways most people have never been warned about. Not to take away the foods you enjoy, but to give you the information you deserve so that every choice you make from here forward is an informed one. And when we reach number 1, you will discover a food found in almost every refrigerator in the world, something most people eat multiple times a week without a second thought. The World Health Organization has classified it in the same evidence category as tobacco for its role in causing disease, and the majority of older adults consuming it have absolutely no idea. Before we begin, drop your age and where you are watching from in the comments below. We read every single one. Now, let us get started with number 7. Number 7, diet drinks and foods with hidden artificial sweeteners. Number 7 is one that is going to surprise a lot of people because it is the food category that seniors most commonly switch to when they are trying to be healthier. Diet sodas, sugar-free biscuits, zero-calorie drinks, protein bars labeled keto-friendly or diabetic safe. These feel like smart choices. They feel like progress. And for many years we were told they were, but here is what recent research is beginning to uncover. One of the most common sweeteners used in these products, a sugar alcohol called erythritol, has been linked in a study from the Cleveland Clinic to a higher risk of heart attack and stroke. The researchers found that people with the highest levels of erythritol in their blood were roughly twice as likely to experience a major cardiac event compared to those with the lowest levels. And the mechanism they identified was unsettling. Erythritol appears to make blood platelets more likely to clump together and form clots. In blood vessels that are already stiffened with age, that is a meaningful concern. This does not mean one sugar-free biscuit is going to cause a heart attack. That is not how nutrition works. But it does mean that replacing regular sugar with these products every single day in every drink and snack may not be the safe swap it was assumed to be. What you can do right now: start reading ingredient labels on anything marketed as sugar-free, zero-calorie, or keto. Look for names ending in the letters OL, erythritol, xylitol, sorbitol, and maltitol. These are sugar alcohols, and they are worth limiting. For sweetness in your coffee or tea, a small amount of honey or a few drops of stevia has a much cleaner safety profile in current research. For drinks, plain water with a slice of lemon, unsweetened herbal tea, or sparkling water with a small splash of fruit juice gives you flavor without the sweeteners currently raising questions. The goal here is not perfection. It is awareness. Because the swap you made thinking you were protecting your heart may deserve a second look. Number 6, alcohol. Number 6 is one that many people in their 60s and 70s were told for years was actually good for them. A glass of red wine a day. Good for the heart, good for cholesterol, practically medicine. That message has aged poorly. And for adults, over 60 specifically, the National Institute on Aging now states clearly that the body becomes more sensitive to alcohol as we get older. Not because we are weaker, but because of real, measurable changes in how the body processes it. Total body water decreases with age, which means the same glass of wine produces a higher blood alcohol concentration than it would have 20 years ago. The liver processes alcohol more slowly. And most critically, the vast majority of adults over 65 take at least one prescription medication. Many take 5 or more. Alcohol interacts with blood thinners, sleep aids, blood pressure medications, and pain relievers in ways that can seriously and silently increase the risk of falls, bleeding, and cardiac events. Research has also found that even moderate regular alcohol use in older adults is associated with measurable shrinkage in specific areas of the brain over time. Memory areas. Areas responsible for clear thinking and decision-making. These changes were identified in MRI studies, and they were greater in older regular drinkers than in younger people consuming the same amounts. What you can do right now. If you take any prescription medication, speak to your doctor or pharmacist about whether alcohol is safe alongside your specific list. This is not a general question. It is a specific one about your specific medications. If you enjoy a social drink and your doctor gives the all clear, the National Institute on Aging suggests no more than 1 drink per day for older adults who are otherwise healthy and on no interacting medications. If you want to reduce without eliminating, try alternating alcoholic drinks with sparkling water, or switching to alcohol-free wine or beer in social settings. Many people find these choices genuinely satisfying once they make the switch with intention rather than reluctance. Number 5, refined carbohydrates. Number 5 is one that lives in almost every meal of the typical Western diet without ever being thought of as a risk. White bread, white rice, crackers, pastries, breakfast cereals. The soft, fluffy, comforting carbohydrates that have been a staple of kitchens for generations. Here is the problem. When the grain is refined, the outer layers are stripped away. What gets stripped with them is the fiber, the nutrients, and the part of the food that slows digestion down. What is left behind is essentially pure starch. And pure starch breaks down into glucose in the body almost as fast as table sugar. For a younger body with good insulin sensitivity, this spike in blood sugar is temporary and manageable. But after 60, insulin sensitivity naturally declines. The same spike now lasts longer, reaches higher, and triggers more inflammation. And chronic high blood sugar, even without a diabetes diagnosis, accelerates a process in the body where sugar molecules attach to proteins and fats and cause damage. This process, called glycation, stiffens blood vessels, damages kidney filters, and has been found in the brain tissue of people with cognitive decline. Harvard research on carbohydrates and blood sugar has been specific about this. High glycemic foods cause the kinds of blood sugar fluctuations that over time may increase the risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and related complications. What you can do right now, you do not have to give up carbohydrates. You need to change which ones you eat. The swap is straightforward. White bread to 100% whole grain bread. White rice to brown rice, barley, or quinoa. Plain crackers to oat cakes or seed crackers. Sugary breakfast cereal to steel-cut oats, or a bowl of whole grain cereal with no added sugar. The key rule is simple. If the first ingredient on the label is not a whole grain, it is refined. And one other practical tip, pair any starchy food with protein, fat, or vegetables. This slows the glucose release and significantly reduces the spike that causes the damage. If you are finding this video helpful, please take a moment to like it, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss what we make for you. Now let us move to number 4. And this one is sweet in a way that may be doing real damage. Number 4, added sugar and sugary drinks. Number 4 is the one most people know is a problem but consistently underestimate. And the reason they underestimate it is not because they are eating too many sweets. It is because they have no idea how much sugar is hidden in foods that do not taste sweet at all. Here's what research from the Women's Health Initiative found when they followed over 100,000 older women for nearly 2 decades. Women whose diets were highest in added sugar had a significantly elevated risk of cardiovascular disease compared to those who consumed the least. And it was not just the heart. A study following older Spanish adults found that high added sugar intake was independently associated with developing frailty, weaker muscles, less physical resilience, greater dependence. These are outcomes that research is now linking directly to how much added sugar an aging body is asked to process every day. The mechanism is inflammation. Every time blood sugar spikes from a sugary food or drink, the body releases inflammatory signals. In a young body, these signals are temporary and resolve quickly. In an aging body, they become chronic. Low-grade, persistent inflammation that damages blood vessels, accelerates muscle loss, strains the kidneys, and creates exactly the conditions where heart disease, diabetes, and cognitive decline take hold. What you can do right now. The biggest single change you can make immediately is to stop drinking your sugar. 1 can of regular soda contains approximately 39 grams of sugar. That is more than the American Heart Association's entire recommended daily limit for women in a single drink. Replace sugary drinks with water, unsweetened tea, black coffee, or sparkling water. For food, learn to spot the hidden sugar. Flavored yogurt, bottled smoothies, granola, ketchup, and barbecue sauce. Breakfast cereal marketed as healthy, read the ingredient label, and look for any form of sugar in the first 3 ingredients. The practical goal is to reduce added sugar to 25 grams or fewer per day for women and 36 grams or fewer for men. Starting with drinks alone gets most people most of the way there. Number 3, trans fats and regularly fried foods. Number 3 is one that has been hiding in plain sight on menus and in fryers for decades. Fried foods. And a specific reason they are at number 3 on this countdown is that for seniors over 60, a large study following over 100,000 older women for nearly 20 years found that eating fried chicken just once a week was associated with a 13% higher risk of dying from any cause and a 12% higher risk of dying from cardiovascular disease. Not fried food in general, fried chicken specifically. Once a week, here is why frying is so damaging for an aging heart. The problem is not just the oil itself. It is what happens to the oil at high temperatures. The heat creates what are called oxidized lipids, damaged fat molecules that enter the bloodstream and directly accelerate the hardening and narrowing of blood vessels. When those fats combine with the trans fats found in partially hydrogenated oils, which are still found in some margarines, imported biscuits, and fried restaurant food, the damage compounds. Trans fats do something no other dietary fat does. They simultaneously raise the harmful LDL cholesterol and lower the protective HDL cholesterol. It is a double blow to a vascular system that is already working harder than it once did. The Mayo Clinic is direct on this point. A diet high in trans fats increases the risk of heart disease, the leading cause of death in older adults. The World Health Organization estimates that trans fat intake is associated with hundreds of thousands of premature deaths from heart disease each year worldwide. What you can do right now. The swap here is entirely about cooking method, not about giving up the food itself. Baked chicken instead of fried, an air fryer instead of a deep fryer, grilled fish instead of battered and fried. These changes preserve the flavor and the occasion without the cardiac cost. For cooking oil at home, extra virgin olive oil is the most evidence-backed choice for cardiovascular health in older adults. When buying packaged foods, check the ingredients for the words partially hydrogenated. If you see those words, put it back. This does not mean a piece of fried chicken at a family gathering will cause harm. It means making fried food the exception rather than the weekly routine. Number 2, excess salt and hidden sodium. Number 2 affects almost every senior over 60 without most of them ever realizing the source. Because the sodium that is doing the most damage is not the salt being sprinkled at the table. It is the sodium already inside almost every packaged, canned, and restaurant food consumed every day. Here's what the evidence shows. A landmark clinical trial called the TONE study specifically enrolled adults aged 60 to 80 with high blood pressure and assigned half of them to reduce their sodium intake, while the other half continued as normal. The group that reduced sodium had a 31% lower combined risk of cardiovascular events, a need to restart blood pressure medication, or worsening hypertension. In older adults specifically, cutting sodium produced results comparable to adding a blood pressure medication. The mechanism is straightforward. Aging blood vessels have lost their elasticity, they are stiffer, and a stiff blood vessel responds to sodium-driven fluid retention with a pressure spike that a flexible, younger vessel would simply absorb. What makes sodium particularly damaging after 60 is that the kidneys, which manage salt balance, filter progressively less efficiently with every passing decade. Sodium that a 40-year-old kidney would clear quickly can linger in an aging system and maintain elevated pressure for hours longer than expected. There is also a bone connection that most people never hear about. High sodium intake causes the kidneys to excrete calcium in the urine. In an older body where bone density is already declining, that daily calcium loss quietly accelerates bone thinning with every high sodium meal. What you can do right now. The practical target from the American College of Cardiology and American Heart Association is 1,500 milligrams of sodium per day for adults over 50. The average senior currently consumes more than double that. Start with these specific swaps. Replace canned soup with homemade or low-sodium varieties, checking the label for under 400 milligrams per serving. Replace processed deli meats with freshly cooked chicken or egg-based fillings. Replace bottled sauces with fresh herbs, garlic, lemon juice, and vinegar, which add enormous flavor without a milligram of sodium. If you are currently salting food at the table, try replacing the salt shaker with a lemon wedge and black pepper for 2 weeks. Most people find they stop missing the salt entirely. If you like this video so far, please hit the like button and subscribe so we can keep bringing you content like this every week. And now, let us reach number 1. The food the World Health Organization placed in the same evidence category as tobacco, something in almost every fridge and most meals, and a risk most seniors have never been told about. Number 1, processed meats. After 6 entries that will change how many people shop and cook, number 1 is the most important and the most misunderstood food on this entire list. Bacon, sausages, ham, hot dogs, deli meats, salami, bologna, cold cuts. These are not occasional indulgences for most seniors. They are daily staples. Bacon at breakfast, a ham sandwich at lunch, sliced turkey from the deli, easy, familiar, requiring no cooking, soft enough for aging teeth, affordable. They feel like the sensible choice, but here is the fact that changes everything. In 2015, the World Health Organization's International Agency for Research on Cancer completed a review of over 800 studies and classified processed meat as a Group 1 carcinogen. Group 1 means the evidence that this food causes cancer in humans is strong. Not possible, not probable, strong. The same evidence category used for tobacco smoke. For this food specifically, the finding was that eating just 50 grams of processed meat each day, roughly 2 slices of deli ham or 2 strips of bacon, is associated with an 18% higher risk of colorectal cancer. But the harm does not stop at cancer. The Cardiovascular Health Study, which followed nearly 4,000 adults aged 65 and over for more than 12 years, found that higher meat consumption was linked to a 22% higher risk of atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease. The mechanism the researchers identified involved gut bacteria. When older adults eat processed meat regularly, bacteria in the gut produce a compound called TMAO. TMAO has been found to promote the hardening and narrowing of arteries. And the research suggests that the gut bacteria of older adults are particularly efficient at producing it. Processed meat is also one of the most concentrated sources of sodium in the senior diet. A single 2-ounce serving of bologna can contain over 700 milligrams of sodium. 2 strips of bacon contain nearly 400. Eaten daily, these add up to blood pressure consequences that compound every other cardiovascular risk. What you can do right now. This is the one swap on this list where the research is clear enough to say, eat less of this. Not none, necessarily, but significantly less. For the daily sandwich, replace deli meat with freshly cooked chicken or turkey breast sliced at home, canned tuna or salmon mixed with a little olive oil and lemon, a hard-boiled egg with avocado, or hummus with roasted vegetables. These alternatives are as easy, as affordable, and as no cook required as deli meat, but they carry none of the same risks. For the breakfast bacon or sausage, try eggs with smoked salmon on occasion, or mushrooms and tomatoes cooked in olive oil, which provide that savory satisfaction without the nitrites, the sodium, or the carcinogens. The key message is this: processed meat is not an occasional treat that deserves worry. It is a daily habit in many senior households that deserves reconsideration. The information exists. The swaps are practical. And the difference to your long-term health may be greater than any other single change on this entire list. Here's what today's countdown tells us. The foods doing the most damage to seniors over 60 are not exotic or unusual. They are the familiar ones, the comfortable ones. The ones sitting in the fridge in the pantry right now, chosen without a second thought because they always have been. 7 foods. 7 pieces of information you now have that most people your age were never given. Check the labels of your sugar-free products for sugar alcohols. Talk to your doctor about alcohol in your medications. Swap your white bread and white rice for whole grain versions. Cut back on sugary drinks starting this week. Replace fried food with baked or air-fried alternatives whenever possible. Read the sodium content on canned and packaged foods and start choosing lower options. And take a long, honest look at how often processed meats appear in your daily meals. None of this requires perfection. None of it requires giving up everything you love. It requires awareness. It requires the kind of information that you deserve to have and that most people in your position were simply never given. You matter. Your health matters. And every single meal is an opportunity to do something kind for the body that has carried you this far. Which of these 7 surprised you most? Leave it in the comments. We read every single one, and your response might be exactly what someone else watching right now needs to hear. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss the next one. And share this with someone you love who is over 60. The information in this video could genuinely change how they eat and how they feel. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.